While I've seen over 70 movies this year in theaters, some of them I just missed, or some of them released only in limited release, and so I haven't been able to catch them yet. So on the screen, you're seeing a couple movies which aren't going to be listed on any of these lists. Here's the best of 2015 as brought to you by IAYTD. Welcome back to IAYTD. Today we are looking at the most overhyped movie of 2015. Now what that means, this is a movie that people were talking about, people wanted to be good, people thought it was going to be good, and it just fell flat. So we've got a couple honorable mentions. The first one is probably the most recent one, and that is In the Heart of the Sea. Just people wanted this Oscar-worthy movie from Ron Howard. Maybe Chris Hemsworth was finally going to give us like a really great performance here. There was Oscar buzz, but it came out silence. It did not do well in the box office. It did not make a lot of money. People were not super impressed with it. I thought it was relatively boring. The story was boring. It was relatively boring to look at. They kind of pitch it as this action adventure with whales, and it really failed to do that. So overall, just did not meet expectations. The other one that's an honorable mention here is Spectre. James Bond after Casino Royale, and then Skyfall, which was incredible. People wanted this big climax to the James Bond, this new James Bond era. And Spectre really didn't do it for a lot of people. It made a lot of money, but that doesn't always mean it's a good movie. I really feel like the villains were cool, but they didn't get enough time. They weren't really given the attention that they deserved. Especially when you get a name like Christoph Waltz, you really want to put him at the front, and he was only in a couple scenes. So really kind of left you with this kind of meh feeling. Some of the action was good, but overall the story just, I think, disappointed a lot of people. But the most overhyped movie this year for me was Crimson Peak. Some people love Crimson Peak, so if you do, that is awesome. I'm glad people like it. But for me, I was imagining, Del Toro, an amazing director with a great cast, and kind of this cool spin on this like horror, this mansion that's kind of creepy, and I thought it was going to be really cool. And I'm not a fan of horror, so people had to drag me to the theater to see it, because otherwise I would have waited to rent it, where I can close my eyes and no one would notice. But I saw it in theaters, and I left with this feeling of, it didn't really do it for me. The effects weren't that great. It wasn't really scary. It wasn't really anything. So I feel like Del Toro now has such a fan base, after like Pacific Rim and Pan's Labyrinth, which is one of my favorite Del Toro movies. Just this one kind of left zero impression. So what is the movie for you that was super hyped up and failed to meet those expectations? I feel like a lot of you are going to say Fantastic Four, and that is a perfectly honest answer. For me, I kind of knew it was not going to be great. I didn't get on that bandwagon of trying to think it was going to be great. But what was your most overhyped movie of 2015? And stay tuned here for other Best of 2015 awards.